I knew the ground had shifted the instant Lila Hargrove leaned forward at the long oak table in our Austin headquarters conference room and laughed lightly, saying I was too old school for the cloud era. It wasn't the words themselves that landed like a slap. It was the way she delivered them. Playful and condescending, as if she were teasing an eccentric aunt at Thanksgiving. The rest of the leadership team chuckled along. Those polite, stifled laughs that fill the air when the boss's daughter speaks. No one wanted to be the one who didn't join in. The room smelled of fresh espresso from the high-end machine in the corner and the faint leather polish on the ergonomic chairs. We were on the 12th floor of a sleek glass building overlooking the Colorado River, where tech dreams collided with Texas heat. I sat at the far end, my fingers tracing the edge of my worn leather notebook, the one I'd carried for 15 years through 3 CTOs and countless all-nighters. I didn't flinch. I just folded the corner of the page where I'd sketched a quick diagram of our hybrid infrastructure layers, something none of them would grasp without hours of explanation. At 48, I'd built the backbone of Vertex Innovations from its garage startup days in a converted warehouse off South Congress. Back then, we ran physical servers humming in climate-controlled rooms, whiteboards covered in dry erase code flows, and engineers who understood every line of the middleware. Now, the company had ballooned to 200 employees, venture funding pouring in like summer rain, and suits who quoted cloud first like it was scripture. Lila, Victor Hargrove's 28-year-old daughter, had just been named VP of Cloud Strategy. Victor beamed from the head of the table, his silver hair catching the sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Fresh eyes for a fresh chapter, he said with that proud father grin that masked the nepotism everyone pretended not to notice. Lila stood, her blonde waves bouncing as she clicked through slides bursting with pastel gradients, stock photos of floating data clouds, and buzzwords like synergistic zero-downtime orchestration and AI-driven elasticity. It was theater, not engineering. She talked about phasing out legacy bridge nodes, migrating everything to AWS with seamless cutovers, and achieving unparalleled scalability. The team nodded enthusiastically. I chewed the inside of my cheek, tasting the metallic tang of restraint. No one asked about the existing stack, the tangled dependencies layered over a decade. The physical servers still handling critical archival syncs for enterprise clients like Fortwell Analytics and Madera Logistics in Dallas and Houston. Lila's roadmap skipped the buried exceptions in our security protocols, the failover sequences hard-coded into Bridge Server 7B, and the fact that our middleware was written assuming specific ordering, bridge validation first, then sync, archive dump last. I saw the cracks immediately. Decommissioning 7B on May 3rd would break Client Alpha's cold storage transfers without proper handoff. I had 2 choices: speak up and become the bitter veteran raining on the parade, or stay silent and let the evidence accumulate. Silence won. I folded my notebook, slid my pen into the spiral binding, and watched as applause filled the room. Someone whispered nearby about moving beyond the dinosaurs. The word stung, but I added a small arrow to my sketch marking the impending collapse point. That afternoon, the full deck hit my inbox at 7:03 a.m. The next day, subject line, Strategic Cloud Migration Roadmap V4 Final. I opened it over black coffee at my standing desk, the Austin skyline hazy in the distance. The timeline confirmed it. Bridge Server 7B decommission May 3rd. No buffer. No rollback plan. Dependency chart omitted. Nausea twisted my gut. I typed a careful email, noticed potential sequencing with Bridge Server 7B and archival sync phase. Confirm decoupling before decommission? Happy to share dependency details. Helpful tone. No edge. Old hands in tech learn quickly that anger gets you sidelined faster. 3 minutes later. We've got this. Elena, Smiling face with smiling eyes, the emoji felt like a pat on the head. Dismissive. Cute. The voice you use when dismissing your mom's tech advice. I stared at it, then screenshot the exchange, tagged it Bridge 7B Risk May, and filed it in my personal encrypted archive under 2025 Q2. Receipts had saved me before. They'd save the company too. Eventually. By lunch, Lila posted in Slack, Bridge sunset locked in. Rocket cloud sparkles, with a flurry of emojis. I didn't reply. Instead, I shaded another section of my dependency map, the one no one had bothered to study. Out in the investor glow, a multi-million-dollar disaster was stirring. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of quiet observation. Lila rebranded my decade of work with new slogans and Canva transitions. Systems A through D were migrated, but B and C flagged daily sync mismatches. D failed compliance. And, the one they'd question soon, relied on undocumented relays. Demo day arrived with the frantic buzz of a VC-funded high school production. Operation Skybridge, Lila called it. The name splashed in bold across auditorium screens with cartoonish cloud icons. Branded notebooks sat and used on tables. Cater tacos from a trendy food truck filled the air with cilantro and grilled onions. I was relegated to observe and support, code for sit quietly in the back row. My name absent from handouts. Lila took the stage in sharp heels. Voice bright and rehearsed. We're redefining our digital DNA. Shifting from legacy constraints to dynamic cloud-native architectures that scale with our ambition. Investors nodded at graphs with upward arrows and repeated disruption. Half her diagrams were my Frankenstein-ed screenshots from old wikis. Her design was 30% original architecture, 40% misread, 30% wishful thinking. A silver-haired investor in the middle raised his hand during slide 19. A pie chart on data assurance. How are you handling secure archival sync between on-prem and cloud in the interim? The room tightened. Lila smiled too widely. Great question. We're minimizing complexity by reducing dependency points in our short hybrid phase.
Vague.
He pressed, but consistency validation for backlogged packets? She blinked, smile wavering, glanced at her lead engineer, who suddenly studied his iPad intently. I felt my lips part, ready to explain the timestamp protocols and bridge relays. Then I stopped. Let her flounder. The investor's nod turned skeptical. Lila skipped slides, mumbling about zero trust, but the energy had splintered. That night in the half-empty server room, now cluttered with branded umbrellas and swag, the hum of old racks soothed me. I added to my notebook. Demo awkwardness. Risk node flagged. Small failures started soon after. A background process stalled at 2:07 a.m. Archive packets stuck in retry loops. Checksum errors auto-cleared by Lila's efficient script. A junior filed a JIRA ticket that languished. Errors multiplied. Write failures to vanished nodes. Silent batch successes. I documented each manually, time,
Path.
impact, in my notebook beside original diagrams. No announcements. No emails. Each page was potential rope. One afternoon, a panicked ping. Integration team needed rollback help on Alpha Archive. I traced a broken symlink. Patched manually via a fallback node I'd left in place. Restarted the job. Fixed, I typed, closing the ticket without logging officially. They thought legacy luck struck again. That night, I underlined silently in my domino points page. The real danger was the quiet, no alarms because they'd stripped the safety nets without understanding them. The breach hit at 2:41 p.m. Wednesday. A hotfix bypassed sync locks, corrupting time-stamped compliance records for Fortwell and Madeira. Metadata turned to garbage strings. Recovery windows closing fast. Slack stayed eerily quiet at first, Then confusion. Hash mismatches? Fort Well records null? Pings escalated to panic. Lila emerged flushed. It's the legacy sync. Not compatible with modern stack. Blame shifted to age. Not her ignored flags or disabled bridges. I stayed at my distant desk, watching alerts flicker, timeouts, mismatches. I printed the full dependency map, 32 inches wide, read annotations, and rolled it discreetly. No escalation. Outside, someone muttered about encryption bugs. Anything but accountability. The invite came quietly. Sync System Health Overview, Zoom. Friday, 10 a.m. From lead investor Taylor at Ridgeline Capital. Optional. But Taylor never did optional. Lila forwarded. Exciting progress. Elena. Legacy context if needed. Friday. The call crackled with tension. Lila beamed about Phase 2 momentum. Taylor. Calm. System A decommissioned last week? Lila nodded. Then explained System B functioning without its dependent service, A. Silence thickened. Lieutenants mumbled about container abstraction. Taylor. Logs show dead references still resolving, 42 instances. Harper/Lila's color drained. Taylor turned to me. Elena. Longest with the system. Surprises you? No, I said steadily. It tracks. He asked me to explain original dependencies. I unfolded the trifold map on camera, crisscross lines, red risk nodes, 18-month-old notes on unapproved decoupling protocols. Flagged twice. Marked not priority. Taylor requested scans and certified copies. Lila laughed nervously. We're all on the same team. Should have spoken up sooner. I met Taylor's gaze. If I had, you wouldn't have asked for this. Attention shifted. The call hung suspended. They had stepped on the tripwire. Monday's ops meeting felt arctic. Taylor joined with technical advisors. Lila's brightness fell flat. After 3 slides, Taylor redirected. Rachel, Elena. Sync bridge integrity pathway. I walked through page 5 details live. Serious questions followed. Node removal timing. TTL windows. Live risks. Yes. Unless restructured with checks. Taylor requested freeze on cloud efforts pending full audit. Me leading. Her docs are the source of truth. Founder blinked. Telling you, Taylor clarified. By afternoon. Board memo. Migration freeze. Lila reassigned quietly to external partnerships. Founder visited my office. Grayer. Admitting he was wrong. I slid over the sealed envelope with revised plans. You already drew it up. I met his eyes. Never stopped. 3 weeks later. The new strategy session was subdued. No jazz. No animations. Lila absent. On the new CTO's wall hung my framed, enlarged dependency map. Labeled Stack Integrity Reference. Investor call. Taylor credited stability improvements. Hear from the person who understands the stack. I shared clean audit slides. Live successful sync. No drops. No errors. First time I've understood the entire system, Taylor said. Founder emailed. You saved us without saying a word. I didn't reply. Silence had been my sharpest tool. They'd ignored my voice. Then built on my notebook. As I stared at the map on the wall, I wondered, how many companies chase the shiny and lose the map until it's almost too late? The best vindication isn't loud. It's the quiet realization that experience draws the path all along.